We are going to fortify our presence along the southern border. We're providing up to 1 battalion of Florida National Guard.
Boom! Take that, President Biden. You remember last week we talked about this showdown happening down at the Texas border. A Supreme Court ruling said that the federal enforcement can go in and cut those razor wires that the Texas National Guard set up. But of course, the Texas National Guard can continue to replace any razor wire with more razor wire. That's exactly what Governor Greg Abbott did. Joe Biden gave him a deadline, said, you better let my guys in there and cut this wire. You better stop putting up new wire. And well, it was a standoff. And well, it continues to be a standoff. You'll remember also that 27 states have pledged to support Greg Abbott and the people of Texas in this showdown with the federal government over the border. Well, yesterday, Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida made good on his promise to support Texas.
We have stepped up probably more than any other state has stepped up, and we're proud to do that. However, we don't think this is enough. I believe that a state has a right to fortify its own borders. And so if Texas is helping to erect barriers, putting up razor wire, doing other things to keep illegal aliens out, I want to be helpful with them doing that. I don't want to be part of the federal government trying to tear down these barriers and let more people in illegally. This is crazy that this is the case. So today, we are going to fortify our presence along the southern border. We're providing up to 1 battalion of Florida National Guard, as well as our first ever deployment of the Florida State Guard. And the goal is to help Texas fortify this border, help them strengthen the barricades, help them add barriers, help them add the wire that they need to so that we can stop this invasion once and for all.
This is really important for multiple reasons. Now, a lot of people watching this story play out say that the next step that could escalate the situation is President Biden taking federal control of the state National Guard there in Texas. This has echoes of the standoff between the Eisenhower administration and the governor of Arkansas, George Wallace, back in the desegregation era of the late 50s, Brown versus Board of Education, the Southern schools run by Democrats, by the way. Southern states had to integrate their schools with black students. And of course, you remember George Wallace standing in the doorway of that school. And well, Eisenhower took over federal control of the state National Guard, and they ushered those little black children into that school, right past those racist, segregationist Democrats. And well, that's a pretty historic moment. Well, now, apparently, Joe Biden is being egged on to do the exact same thing in Texas, to take federal control of the Texas National Guard. That would be an escalation of the situation in a big way. And theoretically, all these other states that are providing their National Guard, I guess the president could also federalize those troops as well. It would be unprecedented, really. The reason why Governor DeSantis' statement today is relevant is you heard him say that not only is he committing a battalion of National Guard, but he's also committing his state guard. That's right. That's right. A couple of years ago, Ron DeSantis created a brand new Florida State Guard that is completely separate from the National Guard. It's actually outside of the control of Joe Biden or whoever the president might be. He faced a lot of criticism when he did that, but there's nothing unconstitutional about it. He can do this as governor of his state, and he has done it. And if Joe Biden does, in fact, try to nationalize the state troops, these guys will not be part of that. It could possibly be a situation where the last troops standing there helping out the people of Texas will be from Florida. Be fascinating to watch how that unfolds. Governor DeSantis also took to social media with one of these many selfie videos he's been doing to further explain the border crisis and what's going on in Washington, D.C.
This border deal is a farce. Joe Biden already has the authority to shut the border down. He could declare it a national emergency. He could stop the invasion cold if he wanted to. He does not want to. He wants to let people in, and we know that there are people from all over the world that have come in illegally. We know from hostile countries. We know it's weakened the United States. It's also destroying this nation's sovereignty. Now, this so-called deal purports to give him tools so that he could actually close the border. The reality is it's green lighting up to 5,000 illegals every single day. That's 1.8 million plus over the course of a year, which they're codifying into law as saying that's an appropriate number of illegal entries. I think the appropriate number of illegal entries is 0. And our policy should reflect that we do not want people coming to this country illegally. We should not be giving benefits and work permits to people that have come to this country illegally. So Biden has the authority. He doesn't have the will. He doesn't have the political philosophy to want to actually solve the problem. Meanwhile, the country continues to get weaker, and the problem is going to continue to persist. So this is a question of leadership. It's a question of will. But to codify 1.8 million illegal entries every year with a piece of legislation, I think would make the problem worse. I think it would incentivize people to keep coming to this country illegally. And we should not have anybody coming to this country illegally if we're doing our jobs right.
Ron DeSantis throwing facts, logic, the Constitution, and troops to the southern border. Boom! Take that, President Biden. Can I just ask a quick question here? I'm sure you're all thinking the same thing. Where was this Ron DeSantis for the last year? Where was this guy? It's like as soon as he started running for president, this Ron DeSantis disappeared and some pod person came in. Well, have you seen these selfie videos he does? He's going over the top of the media, over the top of political consultants and his little campaign apparatus now that he's not running anymore. And he's talking right to you. He's making sense. He's a good communicator. He's right on the issues. He's explaining his position. You see it every time. You see it every time, whether it's a governor or a senator or other kind of elected official. They're doing a great job. They're super effective. People say you should run for president. They start raising money. It turns out that there's a groundswell of support for them. They say, you betcha, I'm going to run for president. And then they hire political consultants. And the consultants come in and they control them. They control their messaging. They control their profile. They control their persona. They control their behavior. They control everything. And it ruins them. We see it every single time. And it's clear that that's exactly what happened with Ron DeSantis. If this guy that you just saw taking firm action, passing these laws in Florida and committing troops to the border and picking up his cell phone and talking straight to the people without all the other stuff, if that was the guy that was running for the last year, you think it would have made a difference? Maybe not. But he sure would have been a better candidate. And in my opinion, he would have been a lot more like Ron DeSantis than whoever that guy was running for president.